social capital. This will improve management and work output. Increase in physical capital. The process will help in creating durable assets. What is the process? The convergence and coordination. It will create durable assets and also increase the productivity of the land. Facilitation of ecological synergies, mitigating effects of climate change, enhancing economic opportunities. Unique features, achieved expected outcomes from convergence initiatives include strengthening democratic processes, convergence awareness, and planning at the grassroots level will lead to greater ownership of projects, facilitating sustainable development. Convergence efforts to creation of durable assets, rural connectivity, productivity enhancement, and capacity development lead to sustainable development. I put a question mark. Well, now there are some more. I mean, the sentences may be very simple, but the achievement, which is a lot more needs to be thought about to put it in place. So, some key issues: what type of convergence is a fund? Institutional, technical expertise, social mobilization, whether it has been attempted, how simultaneous convergence of all the dimensions can be achieved, how participatory was the process adopted, whether PRIs or local bodies in particular have been involved in the planning and implementation of convergence initiatives, what is the scope for achieving multi-sectoral collaboration, taking into account regional diversity to make a significant contribution to project sustainability and maximization of benefits. What institutional arrangement would ensure the identification of convergence projects by the community for wider acceptance of ownership? See, wider acceptance is another issue. It is acceptable to few people, but widely, people may not accept it. Wider acceptance. How to really have the wider acceptance and also ownership. Why is the successful innovative projects are not being replicated? Why? How this can be institutionalized? How to address the various factors, capacity, commitment, hindering the convergence planning or achieving synergy and optimal use of resources. These are the things, some of the key issues when we talk about the coordination and convergence of line departments. So some of the state governments convergence initiatives have been there. Many states have taken up convergence initiatives, and government of Orissa has a separate department with a cabinet minister for coordination convergence. So is it required for other states to emulate it? A separate department, a separate ministry to achieve coordination convergence? This is the one thing, Well, these are the reality. In field, why do a few hours of rain create havoc as seen here, and that too in Gurugram, very near to capital of the country. Well, there are Delhi Jal Board is there, Public Works Department, Delhi Municipal Corporation, the Health Department, and they request the BJP to. There is a politicized. Again, most of the things gets politicized. So the local government is another party, and again, they sometimes the reasons which are given comes out as such incidences are really unacceptable. So now again, the Warangal, what happened in the Warangal, with the huge colossal flood causing a lot of damages. Whether it's due to lack of convergence and coordination is the question which really we need to think about. So another example in Karnataka, is a landslide which happened in Kodagu district, just last few months back, last monsoon. Well, this is a landslide, and what is the locality, the area spot? This was the house of the priest, was of the this place where the Kaveri River takes its birth. Talkaveri. Talkaveri is the place where the Kaveri takes its birth. The priest, they are the priest, they are running the temple, the puja and things like that over the last 350 years. They are highly educated. All the children, all the family members, other members, they're all in abroad. Very, very key posts, scientist posts, and things like that. But on the day, on the way in the lands that happened, entire priest family, they vanished. All of them, completely. None of them could survive. Entire house was gone. The people died. But when things were looked back, there was a crevice, crack on the top of the hill, and only the priest family were also knowing about it. But nevertheless, a convergence could not happen that it can lead to such a big landslide, causing the death of the entire family. So again, maybe if all the line departments have come together, discussed about it, and the experts, concerned experts, were also taken into confidence and gone to the family and just convinced them, well, they could have really shifted. So here, the convergence, lack of convergence coordination, maybe the cause. That is my opinion. But what caused the landslide? There was a crack. At the same time, one line department is all completely covered with forest. They were making farm ponds, rainwater harvesting ponds on top of these hills, hundreds. So these farm ponds build up the water pressure in the soil of these areas. They developed a crack, and finally it triggered a big landslide. So when we make, say, such programs, watershed development program, rainwater harvesting program, forest department, we need to really, this is a lesson. This is a lesson, going back for me, at least it's a big lesson for me. Indiscriminate, execution of projects without really insight, without really coordination, cause much more damages than the benefits which we expect. So this again, a line department which has installed a gauging station. See the situation of the gauging station, how it looks like. How whether can we rely on the data which comes from this gauging station? Why? Why is it the responsibility of only the line department or other departments who are also getting benefit out of the data coming from this gauging station? So really, we need to come together and really do something to repair it, re-establish it. And here they have put some sensors, but the sensor is above the level at which the river is flowing. So these things, and again, water is another big issue. A lot of programs are happening, and there are optimists, there are pessimists. So should we believe the optimist predictions or the pessimists? So here, when we sit together, discuss, and how to really go about. So here, convergence and coordination. So it needs a lot of measurement. Thing which is not measured cannot be managed. So thing which is not measured properly cannot be managed properly. And I just mentioned about it briefly the previous slides. And I think it is up to 11:30. It's already 11:53. I will run through some of the slides which are in one way or the other relevant to the theme on which we are discussing or talking about. This is the telebit rain gauge which I was sharing with you in the beginning. A simple rain gauge, the first telebit rain gauge which was designed and developed in India. And I had the great opportunity of designing it, developing it, of course, with friends, again, convergence coordination. And this was the solar panel, the tipping bucket inside, and it rains, and it measures every 15 minutes, and the data through GPRS goes to the nearest tower. Through the tower, it comes to my server. Through the tower, near real time, it gets analyzed, and temporal and spatial data gets generated on near real time. Within 15 minutes, you can generate a map, the messages, everything goes to all the concerned people within 2 to 4 minutes. So this is how the convergence could happen. Make the data available to everybody. The data speaks. We did not speak. Data speaks ultimately, and when we sit together, discuss further. So this is how this was established. The people, they can see the data, what has happened, how much it is it, where it has rained, and farmers. So this is how the Gram Panchayat, the rain gauge was established on the, again, there was lack of convergence that we thought of putting the rain gauge on the top of the Gram Panchayat. Then the question came, as per the guidelines, the rain gauges ought to be established on the ground level. It cannot be put on the roof of a building. Of course, no obstructions around, as shown here. So then where is it? Then, well, IMD guidelines says the rain gauge should be on the ground, no obstructions around, things like that. Okay. So when that guidelines was made, it was made pre-independence. Required to really stick on to those guidelines was a question. So in a place like Bangalore City, how do you find a place on the ground level without any obstructions around? So there was a need. Then we put up a rain gauge on the ground level, and also on the building like this, measured the rainfall and demonstrated, brought the convergence of all the people who were concerned about it. So then people could really see the thing and say, oh my goodness, yes, it doesn't make any difference at all. Yes, we can put the rain gauge on the top of the Gram Panchayat. So all the top of the Gram Panchayat, it ensured the safety and also the ownership. The people, walking around, the rain gauge, line of sight, it was a line of sight. They gained confidence in that. So most of the 8,000 sensors which we could able to install in Karnataka, every Gram Panchayat, many of them on the rooftop of the Gram Panchayat building, like this as shown in the picture. This is a few more pictures. This is the telemetry weather station. The local person was trained. A convergence and coordination. This person is a local village. He has studied 9th standard and he was trained. He was quite smart enough. There are many people, a degree is not required. He could able to learn things and maintain the sensors and day-to-day basis, and any little problems he could able to attend. And if any problem is there which you can make out sitting in the headquarters, if you call him, probably could be able to really attend to the issue immediately within few hours. So like this, the thing which is measured, it was appeared on a map like this, spatial distribution map. Very heavy rainfall in dark blue color. The white areas with the white color is the no rainfall, moderate rainfall, very low rain, things like that. And in real time, it was possible. Just look at this map. I share this in most of my presentation. With only one sensor, because we are talking about convergence and coordination, a good data, without good data, convergence and coordination, in my opinion, is very, very difficult, impossible. With the one rain gauge in a bulky taluk, the entire is one color, red color. What is the red color? It's a scanty rainfall. So when I say scanty rainfall, so out of 100 people, about 80, 90 people, this fellow is talking nonsense. Say in my village it rained heavily, and he says it's scanty rainfall. Hey, bhagav isko. This fellow is a useless fellow. Okay, I put some 6 sensors. See, one red color became 4 colors: blue, green, red, orange. So then it has, where the heavy rainfall has taken place, we could be able to capture it. Use the Kriging technology, the red color shrinks to whatever that hobly is there, a small part of it. So when I went to the other line departments and also the other people who are concerned with the third map picture, so they were prepared to listen to me, and they were prepared to sit with me, listen to me, talk to me, because that it makes sense to them. Well, that's why the coordinate convergence requires good data set, good observation, and things like that. So more than so this is why now we're encouraging farmers now, and this is called My Rain, Nanna Male. So they need only a funnel, a bottle, and few bricks. So farmers can start measuring their own rainfall. It is going on in Karnataka. Once they measure the rainfall, this is how they start conversing among themselves. They can understand what we talk to them when we come across with the community. So they need to know what we're talking about. So they are measuring the rainfall initiative under my reign. And well, this when out of my own interest, I started this, Abhiyan. Then with that, they also have trained themselves to measure the soil moisture in the field. So then they decide whether to irrigate or not to irrigate. So believe me, this is in Kolar district, Chikballapur district. The farmers, many farmers, they say they have saved 30 to 40% groundwater. This saving of groundwater would not have been possible by any other means. A simple community measuring themselves, community, assessing the soil moisture, taking a decision whether to irrigate or not to irrigate, and conserving groundwater. And so it has 35 to 40, 30 to 40% groundwater has been saved. It is a big boon, sustainable, a saving, big saving. So that is when we sit with the community and convince them, convergence coordination to take place. So I will just run through because well, here when we talk about convergence and coordination, I would like to share with you the household survey results, which really we conducted long time back. Now, probably when the household survey was conducted, a different picture really emerged. So, for example, when you take from the top left to right, average household taking loan. So, for the various district, a different picture emerged from the household based on the household survey. Household benefiting from relief work from government. A couple of districts showed many of the people are not benefiting from the relief works from the government. So third one, fall in net irrigated area. So there are two districts, or 6, 7 districts, which are reporting fall in the net irrigated area. The fourth one, fall in groundwater level. Bottom one, first, increase in average depth of bore wells. Next one, bottom line, second, uh, from the left, household with fodder shortage. See how many districts, many districts, many households, they were facing acute fodder shortage. And third, bottom line, third, from the left, household with decline in milk yield. Third, bottom, the last in the bottom, decline in satisfaction with quantity of drinking water. Probably capturing this information, maybe discussing about with the line department, we can really move forward. And also, when we talk about what we discuss and what the community perceive, and let's see what we call as a meteorological drought. We measure the rainfall, we have our own normal. So we measure, say, as I said, maybe few rain gauges in the taluk or whatever it is, and we declare the drought of a drought or no drought. So when we talk to the community, they give a different picture altogether. So many of the times, when we say there is no drought, community will be facing drought actually in the field. So this variability is another. Okay, hydrological drought. These are the villages which are given here. So, for example, see a village like Yelladakere. So here, they for all the 10 years, for the previous 10 years, they have faced hydrological drought. Probably the approach needs to be much more different than some other villages which are much better placed than that village. Okay, for example, Belagur village, out of 10 years, 3 years, only the tank was half full 3 years out of 10 years. 5 years, it was empty after 10 years. And 2 years, only quarter, 1/4 of the tank got filled up. So the agricultural drought, many of the households, when they were approached, they gave their own idea, which was differing from our perception. How to really bring our perception. These are the field, pictures, what is happening there, and water shortage. Of course, this is, this is risk management, greenhouses we talk about, but sometimes making these measures, greenhouses, increasing rather of reducing the risk, is quite possible that in enhancing the risk. See, this is an example which we are, and I am showing you, conserving water. This is a tomato plantation. How nicely they have done, they reduce the operation losses. But where it has been done, is in Kolar district. So they have used drip irrigation, things like that. What was that? That was done in an area village called Ebony, where the stage of groundwater development was 524%. All the initiatives, watershed development, everything, it came down to 294%. Stage of groundwater utilization, stage of groundwater development, 294% is very, very unstable. Groundwater table is declining. There, even if you bring in greenhouses, and whatever you do, the system is unsustainable. So what is required is how much water, groundwater consumption we can reduce. How much demand management, not the supply management. Demand management is much more important than it is required. Watershed development is required. Drip irrigation is required. At the same time, most important is reducing the groundwater extraction by what I said earlier, optimizing it. Reduce if it's possible to save 30-40% of groundwater, the 294% can be brought down to much less than that, and maybe less than 100%. So, well, this I will skip through. And this is another example I want to share with you related to agriculture, horticulture, groundwater department, maybe revenue department also. So the groundwater is being used extensively, but right now, I know the Andhra Pradesh groundwater department, which was the first director, Karan Saab. I had the privilege of working with him. He was my director. Rajasthan, when I was working in Rajasthan, he was a director. It was a great opportunity. But now, look at this picture here. How much water is being extracted? What is the health of the borewell? Whether the health of the borewell, if the borewell health is declining, what needs to be done? How to really educate the farmers? How to educate the community? So we can. What I've done is I've designed a sensor which gives me data which helps me in assessing the health of the borewell. So with the data, whatever I gather, I prepare a diagram and see the green color is a healthy borewell. The blue color is healthy but not as good as the green color. Red color is the borewell which is going to die. Health is deteriorating. So maybe a borewell which is slipping down from one category to another category. Farmer or community, once we share the data with them, they really come forward to synergize and and well optimize in a way that can reduce the negative impact on them. So see another example, just one example I'm showing you. Many of the rivers, annual flow is dwindling over the years. This is an example I've given for Hemavati River in Karnataka. What it was, about 1977-78 to 86-87, the average of 5 years was 61,482 million cubic feet. But later, late, it has come down to 26,994 million cubic feet. It has reduced what it was, 40% of what it was 30-40 years back. So how much is the availability now? With all the climate change happening around us and
Dr. Prakash,
sorry, sir. Yeah.
Chakrapani here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can we also say that a lot of reduction of flows in the rivers are the result of water conservation measures?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is a.
I have myself seen the Chitravati water, Chitravati river flows in Anantapur coming down drastically in the last 30-40 years. Of course, thanks to your own Chitravati watershed upstream of the river in Karnataka. So, do you think that this could also be one reason?
Sir, I had the opportunity of talking to one Professor Hegde. He has made a paper. I will try to share it with you. He has made a study, and in his opinion, since the time we started using tractors for deep plowing, our overland flow has reduced drastically. We have created a sponge. Every land we have created a sponge, especially in the semi-arid area, and where all the green water which is available, we have successfully converted into blue water which was available. We were successful in converting them to green water in evaporation. So, in his opinion, it is the deep plowing is one very significant factor in for reduction of overland flow. So, as you rightly said, sir, many of the issues.
So is it good or bad ultimately?
So, ultimately, well, in my opinion, it is bad only. So, whatever we have gained, whatever we've lost, when we put it to scale, maybe, in my opinion, what we have lost is much more than what we have gained on a long run. On a long run. Yes, sir. It is.
I have earlier, of course, long back, 40 years back, I have seen by measuring the rainfall in Dodballapur when I was looking after the Hindupur at the behest of the former chief minister. I have seen that the rainfall variations are not considerable over a period of 40, 50, 60 years. But the flow in the river is getting affected, as I've said earlier, because of various water conservation measures and restricting the flow into the valley. I don't know, it may be a very impressionistic view, but you are the best judge to make an observation.
Yes, sir. I completely agree with you, sir. These things are the issue which you mentioned about the demand side management, supply side management, and also what is happening around us. Well, these are one of the very important issue which I highlighted, sir. The reduction of flow in most of these streams, rivers, rivulets, in the semi-arid areas is a very serious issue. And well, it requires the coordination convergence of all the line departments sit together and come out with a common program, a common program for the future. I mean, it's a very serious issue, sir. So just the successive droughts and water resource management is I will just to go through this. Well, when we talk about many of the programs and what is the population benefited, how much population the project benefits have reached. So in many instances, the benefits of the project has reached only small part of the population. A big component of the population, the benefits, they are denied of the benefits. Probably this is where we need to sit together and wider acceptance. We are using the word called wider acceptance, and well, how to make it. So strategic framework is monitor, move forward, understand the problem. We need to sit together and understand the problem. Like Chakapandi Saab, he has flagged an issue about reduction of flow in the river. Really, Chitravati River, yes, what is the reason? And in Karnataka and also in the Western Ghats, Hemavati is a river which I'm talking, which from the flow, which receives from Western Ghats, where the rainfall is quite heavy. Even there, we see reduction of 40%. 40% of what it was 40 years back is the annual flow now. So when that is the case, you can imagine what is happening in semi-arid areas. It is really very so. Identify appraise options, deliver solutions amongst us. Why, what, how, interrelationship between documents is one thing which really is one thing which is missing very in a big way. Establishing interrelationship between documents. You open document, it is something. Other document says something. So how really we can bring in interrelationship between documents, policies and documents. So monitoring, where do we stand as far as monitoring concerned? What needs to be done? How to move forward? These are the issues which we need to understanding the problem and identify appraise options. What is the cost? What need to be done? What is the cost? What is the environmental sustainability in the short and long term? Is the option will be effective in 10 to 20 years? In the future 10, 20 years? Is the option compatible with local national development objectives? How is the implementation of the option reduce developmental risk in other sectors such as the environment and public health. So we need to really think about it. Is the option socially acceptable at the local level? How successful is it likely to be? So these are the things, when we talk about identify and appraise options. The integrating options into strategies and plans. The selected options will need to be integrated into planning, processes, and implemented. Integration into strategies and plans is important to ensure that investment in the drought and flood mitigation, for example, are sustainable. It is a process which can occur at different levels, from local level to subnational development plan to national planning scheme. It needs to be integrated there. Delivering solutions is another challenging one. The roles and responsibilities need to be adequately clarified, particularly the roles of departments in various ministries, and the role of other ministries and departments in supporting the programs. And approaches used to be flexible and make use of effective learning mechanism to raise awareness. As I said in the beginning, so if somebody says, well, I made a mistake, I have failed. Well, normally the tendency is to punish him. No, he's coming and he's prepared to learn from the mistake. We need to encourage him rather than. So finding entry points for integration, meeting challenges associated with implementation, these are the key issues as we have measured. So with adequate data, certainly a good convergence and coordination is possible through a data analytics, a descriptive analytics, inquisitive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, and preemptive analytics. A descriptive analytics helps me in information. What the information I need, what the information we need, what the information needed by the various line departments. Analytics that helps in understanding, example, what happened, what is happening, what is that. The inquisitive analytics that helps in comprehending why is something happening. Predictive analytics is getting insight. It helps in getting insight. Analytics that helps in anticipating what is likely to happen in the future. So that helps us in getting insight. Insight is the most important thing. So without insight, getting insight, so probably we will be lost in the we will be lost, completely lost. So and prescriptive analytics. So prescriptive analytics that helps in responding. So what? Now what? So helps in making decisions. Well, when the line department makes their own decisions, it needs to be a preemptive analytics. What needs to be taken forward? There are 10 options. There are maybe 5, 6 line department, 10 line department. Each line department have come with their own options and how to preemptive analytics, which helps us to sit together and take common action and go forward, and which definitely most likely to be widely accepted. So by and large, still we are using empirical approaches. We need to really move towards data analytics. We need to really graduate ourselves. I don't hesitate to share with you that whatever is being taught in our education curriculum, it could be engineering. In many aspects, I feel they have become redundant. A new learning, a new education is required. I can give many examples, and a simple example is estimating flow, overland flow. Even today in the watershed department, even empirical way of estimating flow is still going on. They say 20% runoff, 30% runoff. Where runoff could be as low as 2%, but a 20% of the rainfall is taken as a runoff coefficient. A lot of programs are designed, watershed, farm ponds, check dams, and things like that. So, well, we need to understand the pulse of the thing which we are talking about, the learning, experience, excellence. And there are some people around us who are maybe having a better insight in some of the aspects. How really we can sit together, keeping aside our egos and things like that, and learn from each other, learn from the experiences of each other, and how to excel, how to really catch out of the pulse of the issue which we are talking about. So probably this will help us in achieving better coordination and convergence. I think I've shared a few thoughts. As I said right in the beginning, maybe difficult to satisfy all, but bear with me. And this is a brief. I wanted to share with you some of the issues when it comes to convergence and coordination. I think it's 11:20. Still some time is there for discussion.
Dr. Prakash, for that wonderful exposition. I would like to mention, for the benefit of all those who are participating in the program, that Dr. Prakash is a former director of the State Disaster Mitigation Unit in Karnataka. Not only former, in fact, during the recent floods, about 2 months back, there were floods in Karwar. Karwar, as you know, is on the western coast of Karnataka. It's a port city. It's a naval base. And my daughter-in-law got a message from Karwar saying that there were about quite a number of hotel occupants in a particular hotel who were totally stranded. They were not able to move out of the hotel because of the floods. The roads were totally inaccessible, etc. And when I mentioned it through a message in the health group to Dr. Prakash, he made sure that within half an hour, the district administration got across to the hotel. They were able to make sure that all the occupants are taken to a safe place. I think that is the kind of coordination, convergence that Dr. Prakash is talking of. Thank you, Dr. Prakash, for your extremely.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
It's extremely graceful of you to have responded that day to that kind of an effort, and I think it's unparalleled. And how we are able to make use of this kind of a digital electronic media to be able to reach out to people in very short period is, I think, remarkable. That increases our ability to provide emergency services during times of distress and calamities.
Yes, sir. Even in the normal time also, we should keep on talking to each other.
Right.
Probably that APHRDA has been doing very efficient. I've been observing, sir. Talking to each other really prepares us to talk in a very brief way and respond to the emergency situations.
Thank you. Any questions? Would anybody like to ask any questions? If you want to, please type out your names and you will be unmuted and you can interact with Dr. Prakash. Any questions? Okay, I think probably there are no questions. One Mr. Khaja Hussain Sheikh, he wished us good morning. I don't know whether he wanted to say something. Mr. Khaja Hussain Sheikh. ఆయన అన్మ్యూట్ చేస్తారా ఝాన్సీ?
చేస్తాను సార్.
ఖాజా హుస్సేన్ షేక్. In the meanwhile, if there is anybody who is wanting to ask any question.
అన్మ్యూట్ చేస్తాను సార్. ఖాజా హుస్సేన్ షేక్ గారు మాట్లాడండి.
Mr. Khaja Hussain Sheikh, are you able to hear us? Hello? Mr. Khaja Hussain? No, I think he is not able to hear. Anybody else has unmuted or wants to ask a question?
పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ అందరూ ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉంటే కనుక హ్యాండ్ రైస్ చేయండి, లేకపోతే చాట్ బాక్స్ లోనే టైప్ చేయండి.
ఇక్కడ ఎవరు చేతులు ఎత్తిన ఉన్నవారు వాళ్ళు పొరపాటున ఎత్తిలు ఎనివే అని అంగటి దేవి అంజీనా రమ్య అంగటి దేవి అంజీనా రమ్య
అంగటి దేవి గారు మిమ్మల్ని అడ్మిట్ చేశాం మేడం. మీకు ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్ ఉంటే సార్ అడగండి.
దేవి గారు
అందుకే నేను 4 కౌంట్తోనే
అట్టా శ్రావణి
ఆయన కౌంట్ చేసుకోవాలా, మీరు ఇవ్వండి అని చెప్పారు.
వాళ్ళు మ్యూట్ చేసేయండి. బద్వేలి మహేష్ బాబు అండ్ బి సునీత వారిద్దరిని అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి. లెట్స్ సీ వెదర్ దే హావ్ ఎనీ క్వశ్చన్స్. ఎవరో ప్లీజ్ ప్రొవైడ్ మెటీరియల్ అని టైప్ చేశారు, అది అప్లోడ్ చేస్తాం. ఆల్ ది పీపీటీస్ విల్ బి అప్లోడెడ్, ఇస్ంట్ ఇట్ ఝాన్సీ?
సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
మీ పేరు చెప్పండి, మీరు అడగండి.
నా పేరు డాక్టర్ సాయి పిచ్చారు అండి, అసిస్టెంట్ డైరెక్టర్ జీలిగిమిలి సార్.
చెప్పండి. If you have any questions, please ask. Yeah.
Prakash sir well explained sir. Regarding our department, can you spare his knowledge about smart livestock production?
Will you repeat your question?
Climate smart livestock production.
Climate smart livestock production. Very good. Very good question. Very smart question.
Sir.
తర్వాత వి సౌజన్యవాణి, వరుడ సౌజన్యవాణి, ఆవిడని కూడా అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి. యా, వుడ్ యు లైక్ టు సే ఎనీథింగ్ డాక్టర్ ప్రకాష్?
Sir, not audible, sir.
No, he is making a notes.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, climate smart livestock program, which one of the participants said is very interesting. What exactly you are doing under the climate smart livestock program? Can you please share with us in a few sentences?
జిలుగుమిల్లి ఏడి గారు,
Sir, hello.
మీరు
Yes.
can you please explain your question అడుగుతున్నారు ప్రకాష్ గారు? క్లైమేట్ స్మార్ట్ livestock program.
Because environmental claiming that livestock is the main contribution of methane gas production. So it around 14% of the global warming. So without livestock, we can't. But how will mitigate this methane gas production from the livestock?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got your point. Well, to be very brief, there are schools of thoughts. One school are promoting vegan, take more and more vegetarian food, take less meat. At the same time, there are other groups who are trying to reduce the impact on the climate and ozone by other sectors, and so that livestock, probably yes, as you rightly said, methane emission of methane is contributing to the climate change aspect, but nevertheless is one of the sector. More emphasis on the other sector, the coal, the fuel, other sectors, and energy. All the things are going around. And well, as I said, one school of thought is, consume more vegetables. Yeah.
Okay. Any other point? Any other person would like to make any observations? Hello? Sambu Naidu, B. Sambu Naidu, sir, I want a question. I want to question. B. Sambu Naidu. B. Sambu Naidu గారిని అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి.
చేశాను సార్. బి సోమనాయుడు సార్ మాట్లాడండి.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for unmuting. Sir, Prakash,
సాంబు నాయుడు గారు చెప్పండి, మీ పక్క నుంచి
sir,
డిస్టర్బెన్స్ వస్తుంది.
sir, I'm speaking, sir.
యా ప్లీజ్
Sir.
గో అహెడ్.
Good morning, sir. Prakash, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Sir, thanks for your for sharing your valuable information to us, sir. Sir, actually, in your class, you have said an incident about the Karnataka priest incident, sir. Hello? Hello?
Sorry, please, little loud, please.
Sir, you have said an incident about
మీ పక్క
the.
నుంచి నాయిస్ వస్తుందండి, కొంచెం వాళ్ళని సైలెంట్ గా ఉండమనండి. కైండ్లీ గో అహెడ్. యా
Okay, sir. You have shared an incident about the priest family which is submerged in the Karnataka floods, sir.
Yeah, landslide. Yeah. They got buried. in the
Yes, sir. Landscape. Sir, actually, what actually happened at the time? You have said that the lack of coordination is the reason for the landslide. Because of that lack of coordination, the priest family has died. So, what has happened exactly at that time, sir?
Yeah.
So,
Just,
I want to.
It is in the Kodagu is a hilly area. You know, the Western Ghats is a
Yes, sir.
slopey area. Number one. Two.
Yes, sir.
This family, their house was on the slope of a hill. Second,
Yes, sir.
third is since last 4 years, the Kodagu
Yes.
and surrounding area, including Kerala, has been experiencing landslides consecutively. And since 2018, 19, 20, 21, 21 now, this year also a few landslides were there. So already 18, 19 experiences were there landslide, and here in the 2020 last year, so this area was receiving very heavy rain. At the same time, the priest family where they were living on the top of the hill, there was a big crack which had developed. So the priest family, what I said is, their family are highly educated. Unlike many other community, they are highly educated. Many of them are staying abroad, but they could not shift from that area. So the already crack has been developed, and any time it can slide. So what I was just telling is, among all the lane departments, after the incidents happened, and then some meetings happened, and one revenue department people said, no, we went to the priest family and we told them, see, there is a crack and better you shift, and they didn't listen to us. In my opinion, what I was telling was, by having seen the crack, many other line departments sitting together discussing about it, bring in a domain expert and to go to them saying that, with all what has happened in the last 2 years, this year they are most risky and vulnerable spot. Better you shift. They could have certainly they could have listened to the advisors. They could have shifted from that area. Number one. Number two is, I did say that in that forest area, lot of farm ponds, a lot of rainwater harvesting ponds were constructed, have been constructed, which contributed to landslides in the
1,000 rupees
area in a big way.
Indian currency 5,000 rupees అవుతుంది.
So the road cuttings and the laying of pipelines along the
అక్కడ నుంచి
slopes.
1,000 rand అంటారు అక్కడ RAND.
Nancy, somebody is
1,000 rand ఇచ్చుకుంటే ఇక్కడ ఇండియన్ కరెన్సీ 5,000
Nancy,
5,000 rupees అవుతుంది.
please all of you mute your mics when the speaker and the persons are interacting. Please mute your mics. Kindly go ahead, sir.
So that is the one example I was just sharing with you. Maybe a coordination, convergence, sharing the observations made could have been helpful in avoiding that incidence. Not the landslide, but the deaths and casualties. Thank you, Sambu Naidu garu.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your service.
You see, Mr. Prakash, there is a report on the Western Ghats and the consequences of these landslides, deforestation, and various other issues of the Western Ghats. I'm sure you are aware of that.
Sure.
Unfortunately, the governments of the day, they have been going on appointing one committee after another, even after the reports are out in public domain. This is another tragedy, because all of us, we think that we can postpone these unpleasant decisions to a later date.
True, sir. True, sir. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you.
The
And
government of Kerala should have acted on the report of the Western Ghats, which came out in 2016 or 17. They didn't do it. And as you rightly said, nor was a mechanism put in place of immediate emergency measures being positioned or institutionalized as soon as these things surface. When there is a crack, it was the responsibility of the Forest Department, Gram Panchayat, the Revenue Administration, the Agriculture to have come together and seen what could happen and identify the areas. Unfortunately, this was not done. You see, this is the problem.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Prakash. I think we have Mrs. Tanu Jindal also, the next speaker. Wonderful having you here. And it's a very, very elucidating presentation. Very explicit. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity, sir. Namaste, sir. Thank you. Thanks to all.
Jansi, next speaker got introduced Chesim Albert.
Okay, sir. Today's second speaker, Professor Dr. Tanu Jindal, ma'am, Professor and Director, Amity Institute of Environmental Sciences, and also Director in Environmental Toxicology, Safety and Management. MT Center for Antarctic Research and Studies, MT Center for Environmental Health Sciences, Visiting Professor, University of Derby in UK. Ma'am, education qualification is BSc and MSc PhD in Delhi University. Ma'am have 21 years of experience. Now I welcome Tanu Jindal ma'am to address the participants. Please welcome ma'am.
Professor Tanu Jindal. Hello. Is she able to listen? Jansi? Hello? Professor Tanu Jindal. Jansi? Hello? Okay. Right. Hello? Yeah, if you have any questions in the meanwhile, I think Mrs. Tanu Jindal will take another 5 minutes to join. If any of you have any questions, you are most welcome. And I'll try to clarify to the extent I can. Any of you. If you want to be unmuted, please do so. Indicate. ఇందాక నేను కొంత డిపార్ట్మెంటల్ ఐడెంటిటీని ఆబ్లిటరేట్ చేయడం గురించి చెప్పాను. ఎనీబడి వుడ్ లైక్ టు సే ఎనీథింగ్, యాడ్ ఎనీథింగ్? టెక్నాలజీ వల్ల, సాంకేతికత వల్ల, టెక్నాలజికల్ డెవలప్మెంట్స్ వల్ల డిపార్ట్మెంటల్ ఐడెంటిటీస్ ని రీఎగ్జామిన్ చేయవలసిన అవసరం ఉందా లేదా? సాంకేతికంగా మనం అభివృద్ధి చెందుతున్న కొద్దీ మన యొక్క ఇండివిజువల్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్స్ యొక్క అస్తిత్వాన్ని మరొకసారి పరిశీలించుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం ఉందా లేదా? ఎనీబడి వుడ్ లైక్ టు సే ఎనీథింగ్ ఆన్ దట్? ఇందాక ఒక ఏడి జిలుగుమిల్లి నుంచి వారు చెప్పారు. అట్లానే అగ్రికల్చర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ నుంచి సంబడి వుడ్ లైక్ టు యాడ్ ఎనీథింగ్? అగ్రికల్చర్ ఆర్ వాట్ సెక్రటేరియట్ or others from the animal husbandry department?
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm Sambanaidu, sir, Ward Revenue Secretary, Vijayanagar, sir, urban.
Cheppandi Sambanaidu garu.
Sir, actually, you have told that is there any need of technology we have to adopt in the line department, sir?
Not need. Technology మనం need ఉన్నా లేకపోయినా వచ్చింది, వస్తుంది, and it is bound to be there. అది వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఇండివిజువల్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్స్ యొక్క అస్తిత్వాన్ని మనం పునఃపరిశీలించవలసిన అవసరం ఉందా లేదా?
Yes, sir. Absolutely yes, sir. We have to again re-look into the line department, sir, because we have in a era of a new technology. We have to do our works as much as possible because we have a technology, we have each and everything, net and everything. So that's why we have to reinitiate technology into the line departments. Then we can save the time and effectiveness and each and everything. And we can deliver the services to the citizens in an effective way, sir. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, please go ahead.
That's my conclusion, sir. Definitely there is a need, sir. We have to again reinitiate the technology and everything into the line department, sir. Then only we can deliver the services easily to the citizens.
మీరు ఎక్కడ పనిచేస్తున్నారు సంబరాయుడు గారు?
VRO, sir. Urban Vijayanagar, urban, sir.
Okay. ఝాన్సీ స్పీకర్ గారు వచ్చారా?
हेलो मैडम, तनु मैडम।
कहाँ दिल्ली में हो, कहाँ नोएडा में हो?
हेलो,
इज इट ऑडिबल मैडम?
अच्छा ठीक है कम एंड देन कॉल। ठीक है आना फिर मिलने, ठीक है ना?
ओके यस सर। मैडम जाए रहे हैं सर?
ठीक है
right.
certainly.
Let us then start the
हाँ ठीक है ना? ओके आई हैव ए टॉक एक्चुअली। हाँ hello can you hear me?
Yes madam,
Can you see me?
audible madam,
Okay. I'll share my slides. A very good morning to all. Very good morning to all.
जानसी मैडम के प्रेजेंटेशन इव्వండి.
ఇచ్చాను సార్.
Yes, please share madam.
Okay.
హలో సార్.
Okay.
Can you
Introduce
see my
madam ne.
You can see my presentation?
Yes madam, visible.
Okay. So let me open. This is not the one. Yes. So very good morning to all participants. I am Professor Tanu Jindal and I have been working in environmental toxicology field for the past 25 years. So I would like to apprise you with some of the hazards which are related with crop production because of the spray of pesticide residues. And basically, this environmental toxicology study of impacts of pollutants on the structure and function of ecosystem. And these are referred to the man-made chemicals and their effect on environment, right? And the term was coined ecotoxicology by Rachel Carlson in 1969, when the pesticide residues started spreading. They were used in World War 1945, and between 1940 to 50s, the pesticides also had the effect through fate and metabolism. So environmental toxicology is a field which includes many areas of sciences. It includes analytical chemistry, organic chemistry, biochemistry, molecular toxicology, genomics, pharmacokinetics, mathematical modeling, risk assessment, evolutionary biology, limnology, etc. So how that the hazard happens, it's like a toxic substance, it goes to the host. It may be in an environment, it may be a target pest. So it basically remains in the environment, and if it is not degradable, it causes many side effects. So there are many labels on the pesticides which have been used. So color of lower triangle, like this, these are the codes, label codes for hazardous chemicals. So this color of the lower triangle tells about it is highly poisonous, it is dangerous, and the green is with the caution. And it is basically made out of the LD50 values. LD50 is the lethal dose which kills 50% of the population. So so then it tells if it is red, it is very toxic, harmful, and caution. So but for the treatment also, various antidotes have been recommended by our doctors. So this is the list of organocarbamates, copper compounds, halogenated hydrocarbons, even this DDT, HCH, endosulfan, mercury compounds, nicotine, organophosphates. It has a range of pesticides, right from chlorpyrifos to malathion to parathion. So range of pesticides, atropine sulfate, pyrethrins. These are the new generation molecules, cypermethrin, deltamethrin, elethrine. We use them in our mosquito coils also, warfarin and DNOC. So how we can make a selection of pesticides for safer environment? So we should shift from pesticide for safe environment to organic farming, or biological control agents, or maybe the molecules which are safe, which are having less half-life, and also which can degrade faster, which are broad spectrum, not target specific. Right dose, I will show you my further experiments how if you use the pesticide beyond a particular dose, how does it affect the environment. Appropriate time, apply only when population is below economic threshold level. It's not that you just see one pest and you start spraying it. It has to be economic threshold level of damage. Only then you have to spray a pesticide, when there is no other alternative left. Then monitoring and surveillance. Then we also have to consider post-harvest interval, acceptable daily intakes, etc. These are the intervals, precautions been taken, before the harvest. So if you harvest the crop before post-harvest interval, it will be dangerous to ingest, and if the concentration is above acceptable daily intake, it will be again poisonous. So how we can utilize this for the basic research to decision making? So first of all, you identify, scientific community identifies the problem. They publish papers in peer-reviewed journals, and then further on the basis of the problem being identified, research programs, identification of toxicity mechanisms, potential effects from molecular to the ecological systems, and testing methods, and construction of useful models. And with these research programs, risk assessment has been done, identification effects and associated uncertainty, quantification of interactions between chemicals and other environmental stressors. government and regulatory agencies. Then after this assessment, the reports are being submitted to government and regulatory agencies. Then they make norms. For example, I tell you, like many pesticides have been banned on the basis of their toxicity, their hazard, their residue levels. And then further it is communicated to industry to avoid pollution prevention, not to use those particular compounds which have been banned, and also to take care of in the crop production, health and safety of the farmers and farm workers. And then general public is also made aware, to be aware about when they consume, when they take the the product, if the because the general public derives the market, so when they are aware, they will not buy the things, so such things will not happen. So this is the whole idea of having environmental toxicology angle, how we can beat the pollution, or how we can be aware. So environmental toxic depends on, as I said, lab work, field work, then modeling and fate and transfer of toxicants in the environment, exposure and risk assessment, right? Static models, ecosystem, short-term modeling, model of specific aspect of system, model makers, prediction that can be tested in field and laboratory. And then further, this is a contaminant, xenobiotic. It gets biotransformed. It has an action on the site. We develop the biochemistry, physiology, behavior, population dynamics, community parameters, and then ultimate impact on the ecosystem. So this is about a particular compound, how they affect at the molecular mechanism, enzyme induction, DNA, RNA receptor, key enzyme, biochemical integrity, physiological behavior, chromosome damage, stress proteins, and then further population density, productivity, mating, fecundity, this is on the basically also impact on the population, and then further other chemical parameters and final interpretation on the ecosystem impact. So I've already told about environmental toxicology, and I will tell you about a particular case we have taken. We have analyzed pesticide residues in Yamuna, Hindon and Ghaggar river in vegetable, rice and cotton growing areas. So we have taken samples 8 from the river and also from the tube wells, 8 farm tube wells, of vegetable growing area. This was in Delhi, this was in Badoli Bangar area, Noida, Greater Noida, and this was in Punjwan, Sirsa. So we have done the study and we have found, that and why we have chosen, because these 3 areas, because the maximum pesticide load is in rice, 22%. Then it comes the cotton, then comes the vegetable. So that's why we have chosen these particular area. And this is the map of the area: Greater Noida, Yamuna, Khadar, Delhi. You can see Yamuna flowing, Hindon River flowing, and this is the Punjwan, Cotton, Sirsa area, Ghaggar River flowing. There have been analysis on the crop production, on the residues in the crop, but nobody is bothered about the environment. Right. So this project was very appreciated, that we have tried to study what is the impact on environment and how the pesticide residues, because when we spray the pesticide, it goes only 1% to the target. Rest goes into the air, soil, water. So and nobody is bothered to analyze, to monitor. We really need to, when we are introducing a chemical in the environment, it is a moral responsibility to know what is its fate and metabolism in the environment. So you can see that in the groundwater, 31.3 samples were found contaminated with the pesticide residues of organochlorine. These are the various different groups of, and some are banned also, DDT, DDE. Even when they are banned, they were found in the residues. So, I mean, this is something very, very alarming. Organophosphate pesticide 19.4% and synthetic pyrethroids below detection limit. As I told you, these are the new molecule, new generation pesticides, and they degrade faster, right? And then rice 24%, cotton 59%. Cotton, the percentage is very, very high. Why the percentage is very high? Because it is not edible crop, and farmers generally tend to, okay, now let us spray more, so that we kill the whole pest, right? So they spray more than the required recommendation, and as a result it gets into the environment at higher concentrations. Same is the case with the river samples, you can see. So these are the graphical representations. The project was very, very, very difficult to conduct because, first of all, you have to decide the area and then take permissions from farmers, from other environmental agencies to know about the levels. And then, analysis in itself is very, very complicated. Analysis is too complicated because large number of multi-residue analysis you have to conduct, and then extraction cleanup of the water samples. So these are for the organochlorine pesticides in seasonal vegetables. This is in the river. This is in the groundwater samples. These are in Badoli Bankar in rice area. You can see higher concentration in groundwater. So pesticides tend to leach down through soil. They not only have a lateral flow in the river to contaminate it, but also, and there are many studies which have been done on the inhalation toxicity also of the farmers who are spraying it. So that is also that is not our part of study, but many people have found the residues in their blood samples. And so this is in cotton area. You can see very, very high concentration of the pesticide residues. This is for organochlorines, this is for organophosphates, and this one is for synthetic pyrethroids. Synthetic pyrethroids are still little safer to use because they degrade faster and they have less mammalian toxicity. This is again for the seasonal vegetables in Delhi area and surface water. I would like to come on the recommendations which we have given to the Ministry of Environment and Forest. This was done as a Ministry of Environment Forest project. So rigorous legislation and regulations should be made to control pesticides, because now what is happening, the companies are, they're coming and they're telling farmers, you should not get a pest, and they're recommending various sprays, 1 round, 2nd round of a seed treatment, 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, which is not the right practice. You should use the pesticide only when it is above the economic threshold level pest infestation. So training to programs to inspect and monitor the use must be made. Extension services to the farmers for judicious use, because there is a complete cancer train running from Bathinda. You see, many cancer cases are increasing day by day. Many cancer cases are increasing. Earlier, we hardly used to hear about any cancer case in our families, but now, I think we all know one or the other case in our work or in family. Why? Because we are ingesting these carcinogenic, we are inhaling the carcinogenic water. Even from water, these filters which they claim that they remove pesticide, but it's not easy. Pesticides only go by ion exchange method. So you should buy, the water filters which has ion exchange method of removal. And restricting the use of pesticides having higher potential for leaching beyond the net. Yeah, so some pesticides have higher solubility, so we should avoid those pesticides to register which has higher solubility, and so they leach down to the groundwater. Proper quarantine needs to be imposed to check the sale and ban adulterate pesticides. As I said, we have received the pesticide residues of DDT, endosulfan, BHC also. What does it mean? Either they are still available in the form of adulterated pesticides, or they are so persistent that we are still receiving them in our natural resources. So, proper quarantine and strict enforcement has to be made for the banned pesticides. Now, new pesticide molecules like synthetic pyrethroids, should be used, which degrade easily, should be made cheaper to the farmers, available cheaper to the farmers. So that is there. And yeah, And promotion of organic farming in farmers to obsolete the use of pesticides. So that is already government is doing, but I think the awareness has to come from the farmers front, because since ages we have been doing these organic farming practices using biological, cultural, and mechanical control methods. What has happened now that we need pesticides all the time? There are many methods, for example, NPV is there, BT is there, and also, the soil solarization, seed treatment methods are there, So those should be promoted. Also, I have not mentioned in this slide, we can also use, newer formulations, for example, controlled release capsule forms, which slowly release, the pesticide. So instead of spraying it, we should use the formulations which are slow release and have longer effect. Now, popular articles to be published for public awareness, that is very much required. Nowadays, people are using ozone treatment systems and other, pesticide disinfectants before ingesting the vegetables. And more so with the COVID coming, this is happening every now and every house. So this is another project which we have done on the leaching studies of the chlorpyrifos. Chlorpyrifos is a pesticide which is used in termite control in our household. And why I planned this study, because this study was planned because we were many chlorpyrifos residues were reported in water bodies. So I thought we should take up this study, and we proposed the study to study in neutral soil, alkali soil, and acidic soil, because pesticide stability depends on the pH of the soil. So they degrade much higher in alkali, in acidic soil they persist chlorpyrifos, and they degrade in alkali soil. So you can see neutral soil was taken from the Faridabad area, alkali soil from the Panipat area, 9.5 pH, and acidic 4.5 pH in Champavat Nainital area. So single dose treatment, 37.74% pesticide could leach down. But when we use the pesticide, double the dose, 85% pesticide leach down, 51% single dose, 91% in alkali soil. Single dose 35% and double dose. So when a pest control comes to our house, we should not say that you do more pesticide, We cannot say that. We could not. The recommended dose is 1 liter per meter square. So we should use, what will happen to us, if we take double the dose of a medicine to our body, what will happen? Same is happening to the environment. We are using the obnoxious chemical day by day, and we are polluting the environment. This is another project which we did on study of contamination of, soil and groundwater through leaching of sewage waste, sewage waste from heavily loaded underlying drains. So India is the only country where we are still in the bullock cart stage of the sewage waste treatment. Nowhere, the sewage waste is carried in drains, in open drains like that. And what is happening, that came to my mind, it is not only polluting the atmosphere in air by gases, but also it is polluting the groundwater or not. It is polluting the river. That when rain meets the river, the rivers are getting polluted. But what is happening to the groundwater? Is anybody bothered about it? So we have taken the groundwater samples, and we've seen, we have studied 16 major drains of Delhi, right? Okhla, and Delhi Gate, and Shadra, Khyber Pass, Mori Gate, Marani Bagh. So we have taken these drains, Nazafgarh drain, and we have found that large number of heavy metals are getting leached down. Lead, nickel, you can see arsenic, mercury. There are lead dismantling battery, lead battery dismantling, factories are there. So we found lead residues in higher amount, nickel, chromium. So these heavy metals are going down. Besides this, we have seen all the parameters were found in drain leachate. We've also simulated the studies in the lab. We took the drain sample, we put it in the lysimeter. I'll show you a picture of a lysimeter. It's not there. So lysimeter like this, in this, lysimeter, we have This is a picture of a piezometer and a lysimeter. When you put, you can collect the leachate and then you can study what is going down and how much is going down. You can see the permissible limit is 1500 milligram per milliliter for TDS. You can see the value is a 2962. Temperature and electrical current no standard. So total hardness, you can see all figures are in red. It is permissible limit is 500. We are getting up to 2860. Turbidity, permissible limit NTU 10. It is going up to 25. BOD, permissible limit is 2 milligram per liter, and you can see result going up to as high as 104.5. So all the biological and chemical parameters. COD, you can see it is 10 milligram per liter, but the values are going as high as 402, right? Then nitrate, right? Drain leachate. You can see the limit is 45 milligram per liter, and we are getting the values as high as 1172 milligram per liter. Nitrate 0.1 milligram per liter. You can see the values are very 130.23. So it is totally the leachates are polluting our groundwater, and this, to my surprise, we also did the microbiological assay. We also did the microbiological analysis. So we found, these drains have become the leaching point even for the microbes. Total coliform, Najafgarh drain 2.99, drain leachate 4.81. We've taken sample from the groundwater. We've also taken the drain leachate from the lysimeter studies. So you can see. So this gives basically lab condition, and this is the actual field scenario. The limit is 0. We cannot afford to have fecal and total coliform bacteria in our water sample. Also, we have done some studies in Antarctica. So I will not take up this. In polluting that, I have not in this. We have found even organophosphates and organochlorine pesticides in the 16 lakes of Antarctica and Grosvenor and Bruckner Peninsula. This is another pesticide called Formicifan technical, and we have seen the toxicity studies of this. So yeah, this is the one I wanted to show you. This is another project we have done, development of a cost-effective lysimeter. So here, you can do leaching studies simulating the field conditions. Here, this is the leachate collector, and this is here you can fill any of the analyte. You can also treat the above soil with analyte. We filled the drain samples in this, and we did the leaching studies by simulating the field conditions. We have taken 3-meter profile in this. The lower level is sand and gravel. So we have taken the leachate, and we have exactly come to know what is going down and how much is going down. Because when we take sample from the groundwater, what happens? When we take sample from the groundwater, it gets diluted because the stream is running, right? So it gets diluted. Sometimes we are not able to detect the pesticide or detect the contaminant because it is at a very low level of residue. So this experiment helps in the leaching studies. This is like, Bharati and Maitri stations are shown in this picture. We are also analyzing contaminants in the environment. We have a continuous monitoring station in Amity University. And through this also, we have been analyzing BTX. Besides this PM2. People are talking about PM2.5, 10 levels. But, if we analyze the filter, many of the toxic and, these pesticides and these toxic molecules have been attached with this filter. You have to extract it in the lab, and then you have to study what are the different chemical toxicants which are attached with these PM2.5 and 10, and when we inhale, they cause toxic effect inside the body. So this is a low cost water testing kit which we have prepared. This I have already shown you, and that single dose and double dose, what is the difference in the treatment. There's some other relevant work we are doing on organophosphorus pesticide and how do they affect our acetylcholine esterase inhibitory activity. Because in insect, how do they kill? They work at a acetylcholine esterase inhibit synapse. There's a synapse between the joints too. So that they inhibit that, and the signal get transpired continuously, and the insect dies of trembling. So we have tried to research whether it has any impact on the human beings as well. So this is my first project which received the New Investigator Award at American Chemical Society. We did some degradation, biodegradable, non-biodegradable. The Maggie, the Maggie wrapper, even after 3 years in lab, it did not degrade. So that is the worst plastic I've ever seen. Similarly, we keep, our job is to, keep holding various kinds of workshops, seminars, and air, water, soil pollution. This is with the Russian Federal University. This is STOX conference being organized with the Society of Toxicology. This is environment day. We keep celebrating various days. This is the conference with International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry on agrochemicals protecting crops, health, and natural environment. So this was about awareness of various agrochemicals. So we keep doing large number of conference seminars. This is on Antarctic and Arctic region. And our students are very, very, elated. They make, models, and they make various kind of display things to whatever is the theme of the event. This is on the water day, so Earth Day. So we keep organizing large number of. So pesticide usage is science is for sustainable development. This is a science which is evolving in the right direction. The use of pesticides is inevitable to sustain current level of food production, to control vector, pests, etc. No single compound or method would succeed in controlling diverse pests, but a viable strategy for each situation is required with the use of IPM and SAFE. IPM means integrated pest management, integrating all kinds of methods, biological, cultural, mechanical, and also chemical. Safe new degradable pesticide molecules with environmental friendly pesticide formulations. So I've spoken about all this, right? Then another thing, seed treatment with pesticide would reduce load of pesticide in air and granular. So, you can also do the seed treatment, and granular and controlled release and microemulsion formulation must gain government approval, while other conventional formulation must be discouraged to save environment from pesticide load. So because currently we are using vegetable powder, which when you either you dust through or spray emulsifiable concentrates, very fine minerals, they go into the environment. So I think we should use newer formulation, granular, microencapsulated formulations, which are slow release. So, farmers have confidence of farming through synthetic pesticides. They will continue to dominate, but non-prescriptive and misuse, overuse will result in excess of maximum residue limits. So our effort should be to have a judicious use of pesticides in crop production to prevent any hazard from injection to farm workers for occupational, point of view, from environmental point of view, from ecosystem point of view, for the existence of life, for human beings. We have to shift to the safer agriculture practices. This is something I wrote on in environmental toxicology. So thank you so much. Pesticides are like our children and friends. To live in harmony and association, these need regulation, caring, monitoring, and as in past, will continue to benefit the humanity for all time to come. Thank you.
Jhansi, any questions on Onema? Would you, whether they would like to ask any questions?
ఎవరికన్నా ఏమన్నా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉంటే కనుక హ్యాండ్ రైజ్ చేయండి, లేకపోతే చాట్ బాక్స్ లో టైప్ చేయండి. సరే, ఏమన్నా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయా? సుబ్బరాజు ఉండి ఎస్ అని పెట్టారు సార్, మిమ్మల్ని నేను అన్మ్యూట్ చేస్తున్నాను సార్.
Mr. Subarazu, you may like to ask your question.
Cannot see everyone.
అన్మ్యూట్ చేశాను సార్ సుబ్బరాజు ఉండి.
Undi from West Kodar, right?
Yes, sir. I am Subbaraju, sir, District Assistant Panchayat Secretary, Grade 6.
Yeah, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I'm from Krishna District, sir. Krishna District, Totlavallur Mandalam.
Okay.
That's the reason behind my hand rising is whether can we meet the demand if you doesn't use the pesticide. The 130 crore of population is there in India. So can we meet the demand if you decrease these pesticides? And is there any alternative approach for that?
Yeah, as I said, there is a National Center for Integrated Pest Management. If you go over the website of National Center for Integrated Pest Management, NCIPM, it is in Pusa, it is in Indian Agriculture Research Institute unit. So when you go there, their crop-wise, integrated pest management techniques have been referred for vegetables, for oil seeds, for grains. And there from the sowing, they tell about how to go about soil cellularization, what are the biocontrol agents, pheromone traps, and other things. Sorry. So, there are practices which have been recommended, and, we can meet it. We have to, what is the fun in having in a crop production which is toxic to the environment, toxic to the human beings? No? And if we are already been suffering, with various kind of side effects. Our farmers are suffering. It is a very serious occupational health hazard, and not even, sometimes covering themselves with the gloves or the mask or the proper kind of. So when I'm not saying that, in case you have pest which is above economic threshold level, please go for the safer use of the pesticide. For example, synthetic pyrethroids. Then there is new generation imidacloprid, and then acetamiprid. They are neonicotinoids, synthetic pyrethroids. They degrade very fast. So we should, farmers should be aware about alternative methods of cultural practices and should use only the pesticides when it is at most required, that to the new molecule which is readily biodegradable. So we can really, once we have this in our mind, why not, when such huge population has been vaccinated, it should be with Covishield, Indian made, we should go back to our Vedic methods of agriculture practices. We can do it. Thank you.
Nowadays, state government has also introduced right for Kendras at each and every Sachivalayam. Good, nice initiation from them, and people of APHRD can communicate with RBKs and just play videos to the agriculture farmers. They can be involved in that way, such that they will learn how to do pesticide-free farming, since they were habituated with the money returns, right? So everyone work for money. It's everyone how much I grow, how much I get. So this if they see all those videos and the amount of time they have to spend upon learning, so all these aspects come into picture. So there should be practical means 1, 2, 3 acres should be there for each and every farmer. In the sense, for a village, if you give 1 to 2 acres where we can practice those methods by the farmers, and then they later come into summary statement that yes, this is good, I can try it in my farm. So it is a suggestion that every village should have a practicing land of 1 to 2, 3 acres, such that they can test themselves there, and they can implement that in their area.
Yeah, because nobody eats medicine in advance. Okay, I may fall sick, so let me eat the medicine. Do we do that? So
No.
why do we spray the crops with the pesticides in advance? Because pesticides company make huge profit, right? So they suggest to farmers, but farmers has to be intelligent enough to have faith on their wisdom, and also conscious to protect our environment from the toxic menace of these pesticides.
Yeah,
Mr.
definitely.
Shyam Babu, Digital Assistant, Uddanapuram, Uddandapuram, Sachivalayam, Nakkapalli Mandal, Visakhapatnam. Shyam Babu, please unmute him.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm
Good afternoon,
Shyam.
Mr. Shyam Babu. Chapan.
Sir, the meeting connected. So, what is the role of digital assistant? Actually, this is work is done by secretaries, Panchayat secretaries, sir. So now you are giving us training. So, like, what is the role of digital assistant? Like, so I want clarity on this time.
Now, she may not be able to clarify. I would like to clarify. The role of a digital assistant at the ward secretariat or in the Gram Panchayat, he or she should have all the data, number one. That data relates to all aspects of human functioning, including agriculture, animal husbandry, health, education, communications, etc. The digital assistant, there is nothing like a roles and responsibilities very clearly defined. A functionary at the Gram Panchayat or at the ward secretariat, he has to combine in himself all the roles and facilitate the functioning of these secretaries by keeping the data. Simple. It is not as if the digital assistant will only look at some things and not other things. Similarly, a person who is working in agriculture should also be familiar with what is happening in the animal husbandry sector. He needs to know what are the various activities of the fisheries, animal husbandry, environment, irrigation. So you are the representative of the government at that level. So you need to know everything. Because you are there as the digital assistant, you are the repository of information at the ward or at the Gram Panchayat Secretariat. Simple. Yeah, there is somebody by name Anala Naveen.
Thank you,
said
sir.
that-
Thank you.
Yeah, Anala Naveen, who said that he is not able to hear anything. Mr. Naveen, Mr. Anala Naveen, unmute chain. Any other person?
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yes, Mr. Naveen.
Sir, now I am able to hear, sir. It's
Okay.
working.
Right, which means that the basic lesson to be learned. 1 minute. The basic lesson to be learned is your digital assistant, your IT people should be able to help you in making an assessment before joining the program, whether your network speed and reliability and strength is adequate to take a video conference. Okay. So that is the takeaway for this. We are able to hear the speaker and we were able to hear Mr. Prakash from Karnataka. So obviously there is something lacking or something is needed in the network or package. So please kindly make sure of that in future. Any other questions? If there are no questions, Jhansi, please. Hello, yeah.
Sir, this is not a question, sir. Just information, sir.
Yeah, please. Your name.
Our animal husbandry department implementing Desi cow farms, sir.
So please introduce yourself and then speak.
Sir, I am Dr. Sai Buchar, Assistant Director, Jilumili, sir.
Yeah, Jilumili Chapan, please kindly go ahead.
So, animal husbandry department implementing a Desi cow farm, sir. For each every district for Desi cow farms allotted, sir.
Will you please repeat what you said? It was not very
Sir,
clear.
animal husbandry department implementing a scheme Desi cow farm, sir.
Desi cow farm, right?
It is an integrated farm, sir. So cow-based agriculture and Desi cow products, and also we are supporting in technologically and market to the farmers, sir.
Okay, is it there in every district?
Every district, sir.
How many places?
The total for each district 4, sir.
Four Desi cow farms in each district.
Yes, sir.
And these are done by the departmental people or by the veterinary farmers?
No, sir, that is farmers, sir, dairy farmers.
Dairy farmers, right? Can you
We will
please
support that farmer, sir.
Can you please explain how is it different from the others?
So because here we promote the only desi cows, sir.
Right.
And with that,
What is the desi cow?
desi cows, and just like Sahiwal, Gir, Thar Parker, all Indian breeds. So with that, we do agriculture also, sir.
Okay.
That is called as desi cow-based agriculture, or we can call it as organic farming.
Okay.
So we can't tell this is organic farming or natural farming. There is so many definitions for the organic farming and natural farming.
Okay.
But simply we'll say desi cow-based agriculture, sir.
Right.
So,
So you wanted to pass on this information, is it right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Would the speaker like to say anything on this?
Yeah, no, I'm really grateful for inviting me, Dr. Chakrapani, and other members of the organizing committee. And I'm also grateful to participants to patiently hearing me. And I hope that I am able to make, the point that anything which is beyond a certain level is toxic. So we have to be very careful, and as we are, we are using mobile phones of latest technologies every day, so we should also shift to the safer molecules and the newer agriculture practices. It is the moral responsibility of all of us to make our poor farmers, available, aware about the toxic impacts of pesticides, because they are the one who suffer most, because they are the one, who suffer from the most obnoxious kind of, I would say, occupational health hazard. As we've seen, the cancer cases being increasing because it is not visible. As I said, we know PM level, 2.5 level, 10 level, but what is the toxicity attached to those particles? Inhaling, ingesting, and also drinking water. So I think I could make a point, and it is one of my mission of my life, that all Krishi Vigyan Kendras should help in spreading such education, and also a policy, a regulatory framework should come up to use of pesticides only if it is required, above the damage is above economic threshold level, and also use of newer molecules, and the persistent pesticides should be banned. Likewise, and there should be regular monitoring of environment samples. There is nobody doing it. People are doing it on vegetables. So I think, that's why we see large number of cases, diabetic cases also, because these pesticides produce free radicals in the body, and these free radicals go and attach to the insulin molecule and block the insulin molecule for sugar to ingest, to act, to digest. So that is why we are eating not only it is also because of the packaged food and all, but also because of the contaminated food and other things we are inhaling, ingesting, drinking. So I hope I could make a point, and I'm glad to be here with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think Jhansi, you can convey your vote of thanks and complete the session.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable presentation.
Sir, this is Vishleshani Shyam Babu. So tomorrow, what will be the session? The topic will be like.
Jhansi?
The topic for tomorrow's session.
Jhansi.
చెప్తున్నాను సార్.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tomorrow, Dr. Mopada Chandrasekhar, sir, Assistant Director, sir, areas for convergence with other departments with respect to animal husbandry, sir. Next, second session, Dr.
You
Ravikumar,
can
sir,
you give us that?
Tahsildar.
And can you,
revenue department schemes and areas of convergence with other departments.
ఆ షెడ్యూల్ రేపటి షెడ్యూల్ అప్లోడ్ చేసారా?
వెబ్సైట్ లో అప్లోడ్ చేసి ఇప్పిస్తాం.
Please refer the website of APHRDI. It contains.
sir,
the
can you
schedule.
give us the PPT also? Can you keep the PPT? Can you, so that we will go through the PPT?
PPT will be uploaded on the APHRDI website. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, session.
Thank you for all the participants for participating in this program. 3 days participation is mandatory for e-certificate, sir. So daily మీరు 9:30 కల్లా లాగిన్ అవ్వాలి, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thanks to all.